Personally, I think this movie could have used a little bit more blood. In Why Don't You Just Die, a young woman asks her boyfriend to go kill her father, but things go horribly wrong when boyfriend realizes that, well, her father can also put up a fight. Why Don't You Just Die is this dark, comedic Russian action film, and ladies and gentlemen, I freaking loved this movie. This movie is so much freaking fun, and I want everyone to go check it out. Look, if you really, really loved hyper-violent, super stylized action comedies, films in the veins of like a Quentin Tarantino or Guy Ritchie film, then I really think you're going to get a lot out of this movie. I'd also say a lot of the action is super over the top and stylized in the way that those Raid and The Night Comes for Us films are. First and foremost, the action. It is super, super in your face, hyper stylized, and will just pull you in just from the opening sequence alone. And I will be honest, if you're watching this movie and the opening sequence doesn't hook you, then this is most definitely not going to be your type of film. So at that point, I would be like, all right, I'm going to turn it off and go watch something else. I knew right then and there that I picked the right type of movie. This is the kind of movie that you want to call your buddies over, grab all the alcohol that you possibly can, throw this bad boy on, and have a blast of a time. I also loved just how Russian this whole thing is, and I also loved the sound design of this movie. It's like they cranked up the volume on the sound design to an 11, so every time the hammer hit the ground or something, like, you made sure that you heard that hammer hitting, and I loved it. It almost made the movie feel like a Saturday morning cartoon, but a hyper violent, covered in blood Saturday morning cartoon. The plot of the movie is very, very simple, and I liked that the movie didn't try to overcomplicate the plot, and I love that it doesn't take a completely straightforward narrative approach. Anytime a new character would enter into the scene, kind of like a play, we would get this flashback of how they got to that said moment, and I thought that that was really fun. This whole movie plays out like one big action set piece because 90% of the movie takes place in this one confined apartment complex. And I thought all the really dark comedic elements were perfectly timed. There were so many moments that I was laughing out loud, and I love that a lot of the comedic bits were done in just the style of the movie. Overall, Why Don't You Just Die just hit all the boxes that I wanted to hit. It's a super stylized, hyper-violent Russian dark comedy that feels like a mix of Guy Ritchie and Quentin Tarantino. If you love action films in the veins of films like The Raid and The Night Comes for Us, then you will definitely have a lot to enjoy with Why Don't You Just Die. As the score goes, I'm going to give Why Don't You Just Die a 5 out of 5. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this movie was fantastic. So much fun. Definitely everything I wanted in an action comedy. So, if this sounds like your tea and you checked it out, you can check it out on April 20th because it will be going wide on video on demand and Blu-ray then. It was supposed to have a theater release, but because of quarantine, they're just releasing it on demand. So when you check it out, let me know in the comments section below. And until next time, everyone, I'm the Slasher Movie, and you guys have just been slashed.